Alexandra Eala's heartwarming Australian Open debut ends in a loss to Parks. Melbourne, Australia, AP. The long queue of fans outside Court 6, the chants of Alex, 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 and the fluttering Philippines flags all pointed to where Alexandra Eala was making her Australian Open main draw debut. The 20-year-old Eala made the most of the football-style atmosphere in the first set Monday before Alicia Parks found a way to block all that out and rally for a 0-6, 6-3, 6-2 win. Eala has developed a big following in the last year after a breakthrough tournament in Miami where she beat 4 seeded players, including number 2 ranked IGA Swiatek, before losing in the semifinals. She reached the final at Eastbourne after going through qualifying in June. The fan base expanded again when she beat Clara Towson in a long third-set tiebreaker in the first round at the US Open last year for her first win in a major. Sports fans in the Philippines have embraced her journey. Organizers could easily have filled one of the big show courts at Melbourne Park for Eala's opener against Parks. Filipino fans were still lined up outside in the third set. For those who got seats, Eala stayed long after Parks had left court and signed autographs. "Yeah, it was so heartwarming," she said. "That's one of the things that makes a loss like today a little bit harder. The fact that everyone came out and really squeezed into that cozy court, I really appreciate it. I felt so loved. But then again, Alicia played really well. And I just hope that the support continues with the losses along with the wins. I think that would really touch me." The vociferous crowd was a distraction for Parks in the first set, but the 25-year-old American harnessed the emotions in the second. "It was very difficult," Parks said. "I was expecting it, but I wasn't. She definitely has a good crowd. I just kept telling myself to stay in the zone." Parks got an early break in the second set before Eala rallied to get back on serve. Parks won the last 3 games to take it to a deciding third set and then dominated. "I was just so focused on the crowd in the first set, which is why it went the way it went," she said. "I don't know what my record is with crowds against me. It definitely puts a fire on me." While Parks advanced, Eala will have to use the singles loss as motivation for the doubles. "I'm still young, 20, so learning how to deal with all of this attention," she said. "I guess this is one of the moments that I can reflect on what this means for Philippine tennis. I'm the only Filipina in the draw this year. I'm the only Filipina that's ever been in the draw, I think. So there are positives to take away. Like I said, so much gratitude and super thankful." The night air at Melbourne Park carried a particular kind of hush, the sort that only appears when anticipation outweighs noise. Under the bright Australian Open lights, Alexandra Eala stepped onto the blue court not merely as a competitor, but as a story in motion. She was young, poised, and carrying with her the quiet hopes of a nation that had watched her grow from a prodigy into a professional. This was her Australian Open debut, and regardless of the final scoreline, it was already a moment etched in meaning. Across the net stood Alicia Parks, powerful and assured, a player whose game spoke the language of experience and force. From the opening serve, the contrast was evident. Parks struck the ball with thunder, her serves skidding low and fast, her ground strokes cracking through the cool evening air. Eala, by comparison, played with a different rhythm. Her movement was fluid, her shot selection thoughtful, her tennis shaped not by brute strength but by intent and imagination. The first games passed quickly, the tempo dictated largely by Parks. Yet even as points slipped away, Eala's presence never diminished. She chased every ball with the same determination, her feet dancing along the baseline, her eyes sharp with focus. Each rally she extended felt like a small victory, a refusal to be overawed by the magnitude of the stage or the reputation of her opponent. For those watching closely, this was not simply a match about winning or losing. It was about arrival. Eala's debut was the culmination of years spent far from home, honing her craft on foreign courts, believing in a dream that once felt impossibly distant. Every forehand she sent down the line, every deft drop shot that drew a murmur from the crowd, spoke of those unseen hours of sacrifice. There were moments when the stadium stirred, when Eala's creativity shone brightest. A perfectly timed backhand pass. A soft, teasing slice that forced an error. In those flashes, the crowd glimpsed the future she represents. They saw a player unafraid to express herself, unafraid to try, even against an opponent who offered little margin for error. Parks, to her credit, remained composed. She applied pressure relentlessly, capitalizing on short balls and serving her way out of trouble. The scoreboard steadily tilted in her favor, but the numbers told only part of the story. Between the points, Eala took measured breaths, adjusted her strings, and reset her mind. There was no visible panic, only a calm acceptance of the challenge before her. As the match progressed, fatigue and inexperience began to weigh heavier. Parks closed in on victory, her confidence growing with each decisive strike. Yet when the final point was played and the result confirmed Eala's loss, there was no sense of defeat in her posture. She walked to the net with her head held high, meeting Parks with a warm smile and a firm handshake. The applause that followed was not obligatory, it was sincere. The Melbourne crowd recognized what they had witnessed. They had seen a debutante who belonged, a player who had earned her place on one of tennis's grandest stages. In defeat, Eala had shown grace, resilience, and an unmistakable spark. Heartwarming moments in sport are often found not in trophies lifted, but in courage revealed. Eala's Australian Open debut was one such moment. It was a reminder that beginnings matter, even when they end in loss. The first chapter of a story does not need a triumphant ending to be meaningful, it only needs honesty, effort, and hope. As she left the court, racket tucked under her arm, Alexandra Eala carried more than the memory of a hard-fought match. She carried experience, belief, and the quiet knowledge that this was only the start. The loss to Parks closed one door, but countless others stood waiting. And somewhere beyond the bright lights of Melbourne, the future of her journey shimmered, patient and promising.